Good evening. Today at 10:42, I want to introduce to you another special friend of mine. I met this lovely lady during one of her travels. She is a travel journalist. She has a huge army of followers on social media. And one of the reasons why I absolutely love and admire her, it's her power to stay always positive, to always have a word or a thought for those that they have problems. And as she told me in this interview, she never had a problem. She always tried to find solution. And therefore, today I want you to meet my very good and respected friend, Priscilla Pilon. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for finding some time to talk this afternoon, Priscilla.
Well, thank you for having me, Leonard. It's nice to see you.
You are in Boston at the moment, is that right?
I am. I'm in the city. I'm in the North End, the Italian section of Boston, and separated from my family at the minute.
Oh yeah, that's difficult. How is the mood there?
I do think that Boston is a very resilient city. We've had our fair share of hardships. We had the Boston bombing not that long ago, and I think people are thinking in their minds, okay, we're resilient, we'll get back.
We discussed a little bit earlier that things will have to change, and we're talking about business, but do you think that things will change in our way to interact with each other, to treat each other, to respect each other, to care of those around us?
I think that everyone will be forever changed. I think this is going to be the episode of this century so far. People are kinder and nicer. I think that people are a little more tolerant of people's personal space and being respectful of the elderly. I think that's one very positive thing that's come out of this. People reaching out to the elderly. Also, the respect we have for the medical community, I think that's gone way, way up, and deservedly so. I think we're a little bit more overly focused on the doctors, and we should pay more attention to the nurses because they're the ones that are actually laying hands on people. And anytime a doctor passes away, we hear big news, but we don't hear the same about a nurse. Yeah, so I think that will come out, and I think that we will, as a society, value our healthcare workers much, much more. We'll value our garbage collectors much, much more. We'll value our grocers and people keeping the pharmacy open. So, you know, there's an opportunity here for us to learn from this and move forward in a positive way.
You're very busy as a journalist. You are always working. Now, the framework change. How much your life changed, your daily life changed? Are you doing the same or less or more?
Well, just to give you an indication of what's been canceled for me, both personally and journalistically. Since January, I was supposed to have been on a cruise to Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. Mm-hmm. That was canceled. So we regrouped thinking it was going to be contained to Asia. And we regrouped to go fly to Chile, fly to Easter Island, and we were going to be with Lindblad until Tahiti. Mm-hmm. We went until the very sort of last moment thinking we'll be able to go. That was canceled. I have a personal wedding in London, and then I was going to Paris after, and both of those were canceled. The wedding, which is really sad, my best friend's daughter's wedding, so sad. And then the trip to Paris, you know, Paris is my thing, it's my jam, you know, I can't live without Paris. Well, guess what? I'm learning to live without Paris. Uh-huh. I can't go. We have a trip in Bermuda supposed to come up with a whole group of people. Race our sailboat from Newport, Rhode Island to Bermuda. Happens every 2 years. That's in end of June, and that's already canceled.
Already canceled, yeah. So things are changing. How do you cope with that? Or do you have any tips, any secrets how we can understand and start accepting and start manage all these unexpected changes in our daily schedule?
I think for me, keeping structure is key. So I'm still getting up at the same time in the morning, far too early actually. But I get up in the morning and I have my coffee and I go for a walk. And I come home and then I typically go through the news and my emails and that whole schedule. And then I kind of have a lull, and that's not so good, but I'm trying to fit in now, taking this time to work on myself personally. So I'm doing yoga, I'm doing indoor exercises, I'm working on my nutrition, I'm cooking every single meal at home, I'm making sure it's healthy. And very importantly, I now only cook healthy meals. So I didn't bring any junk food in. This was think about it, Leonard, it's the perfect opportunity to not buy the junk food. And if you don't buy it and bring it into the house, you can't get bored and eat it.
Correct, correct. The temptation doesn't exist anymore. So that's a very good, that's a very big achievement actually.
I haven't had any alcohol either. I know. Look at you, you're speechless.
I cannot join in this change at the moment. I still have my reserve, so I'm still working on that. But okay, so I understand that the personal level. You told me that, and I saw the sadness on your face that you are separated from your family. That's not easy.
It's not easy. I'm open about this. I have lupus. I get a monthly infusion, and that infusion actually lowers my immune system. Mm-hmm. And it's quite different from people with other different autoimmune disorders, but my immune system goes too high. So this medication, this infusion that I get once a month lowers it. Yeah. And so that's why I had the mask on and gloves when I go out and all of that to protect myself. And I'm a bit claustrophobic, so the mask I hate. I mean, let's face it, it's just terrible. And you're breathing and it's moist and it's weird, and so I hate that. But the thing is, I'm a touchy-feely person. I'm a hugger, and I desperately miss my hugs from my husband and from my boys and my older son's fiance. And we're a family. You would think we're Italian. We're very, very, I'm just a hugger. And that's, to be honest with you, missing human touch is the thing genuinely that I miss the most.
I understand. Now moving to the business part. You travel a lot. It's how we've met. How do you see what's happened now in perspective with the travel industry? Airlines, cruise lines, hotels, guides, all this market, huge and very successful up to mid-March.
Well, I think there's a lot of fronts on there. One is that the cruise industry is going to be in pain for a very long time. And there's a certain segment of people they'll never get back. There are people that will say, I will never, ever, ever do a cruise again. However, I think for the people that genuinely love cruising and feel there's no imminent danger to their own health, I think they'll be back. But I think it won't be before the fall. I also think the airlines have done themselves a great disservice. And in particular, I follow all the majors, but then airlines like EasyJet have been incredibly abusive, and British Airways have been incredibly abusive to the consumers. And recently I've been tweeting to United in hopes that people at United will start to listen, that yes, they got a bailout. Yes, I'm happy they're going to pay their employees. Yes, I'm happy they're not going to lay off. However, myself as the consumer, I have thousands of dollars in airfares that they're not refunding. they're giving me credit.
Vouchers,
And
yeah.
only for a certain time period. I think that it's wrong to penalize the consumer when you've received a bailout from the government. So I think there's going to be a time frame where we are this apart from one another, the consumer and the carrier, airline carrier. And I think the anger is going to keep us here, but as time goes on, it will shrink a little less. So eventually we'll get lazy and stupid, and we'll fly them again.
What about the cruise industry?
I think some cruise lines have done an exceptional job of handling this. They have given customers a guarantee of another cruise, in many cases upgrades, in many cases a deep discount, in many cases, you know, freebies on top of that and incentives. And I think that they've handled things way better than the airlines have in terms of customer relations, in terms of communication with the customers every step of the way. So I think they've done a good job, and I think people will come back. But I predict not to the bigger ships. I think everything is going to move to the smaller ships.
You sent me an absolutely lovely photos. How old you were in that photo?
I'm guessing I was about 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm. So let's pretend that now Priscilla today is in the same room with Priscilla who's 7 years old, and you have, let's say, 30, 35, 40 seconds to tell her something. I don't know, not necessarily an advice or maybe a warning or something, but you have 35, 40 seconds. What Priscilla from today will tell Priscilla in that time?
I would tell her, you enjoy every second walking on the beach in the summer, picking up the sea glass, the blue and the green sea glass that you find, because someday those colors will be gone from your world. Enjoy the time with your mother and your brothers and your brother and sisters and your father, doing simple things, getting an ice cream cone on Sunday evenings in the summer and letting it drip all over you, and, you know, having your hair washed by your mother, even though you hated the water in your eyes, because one day you're going to not have that. You're not going to have those people in your life. And guess what? You'll miss them. The baby step I took was I eliminated the word can't from my vocabulary. That was my first challenge. Everyone picks a personal challenge. I said, I have to take away the word can't. I spend so much time saying, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it changed everything for me, everything. So I was afraid to go offshore sailing. I sailed from Bermuda to Newport, Rhode Island. I was afraid of heights. I went to the top of the Sydney Bridge. I've never hiked before. I hiked in Scotland, Devil's Staircase. I travel alone. I did my first 10K in Jamaica by myself. I also have done a lot of solo travel. And I think when you're by yourself and you give yourself time to think about how wonderful the world is, and every person you see, if you smile and they smile back, the positivity is infectious, as infectious, if not more than negativity.
That's so nice. Thank you so much for your time. Please take care of yourself, stay safe, and please, when all this madness will finish, find a little place in your busy diary to have the chance to meet again and have a chat and discuss about how mad we were talking in one day afternoon, you in Boston, me in Southeast England, about all this madness around us. Thank you very, very much again.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.